Alright, today we're going to be putting together a quick and dirty player controller with some movement based on a model from Legendary Loot. So we're going to start by making a new C# script. We're going to call it main player controller. And normally your behaviors all inherit from mono behavior. In this case, we're going to be inheriting from something out of Legendary Loot. We're going to be inheriting from the unit controller. But that doesn't quite work. We're going to need to add some more usings so that it knows about all the Anvil stuff. If you're using Visual Studio, this should just automatically come for you. It'll be very suggestive and helpful about this stuff. Mono behavior, not so much. Because the Legendary Loot asset works all the way back to Unity 5.4, means 5.4 integrates really slickly with mono behavior, or mono develop, sorry. Alright, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to require a component because we're going to be using a rigid body, and the rigid body is going to be doing our movement for us. And so we're going to require that there's a rigid body on our main player controller. This makes the dependency very explicit. And then we're going to populate that in the start so that it's just there when we're doing updates. Now get component is a really bad thing to run on update, so we run it once and then we store it. We just remember what our rigid body is forever and ever. And then in our update loop, we're going to figure out the amount of force we want to add to our rigid body in order to move our person around. In order to move our capsule. So we're going to dive into our model, which comes from the unit controller. The unit controller gives us a model. That's what we get from inheriting that. We're going to go into its calculated stat block, so the incalculated. It's in for internal. So internal calculated stat block, we're going to pull the movement thrust. That's sort of the amount of force that this character can exert. And then we're going to multiply by some input stuff. We're going to be putting an axis in here, and then we're going to be multiplying that by vector 3.forward. This means that the vertical axis, the up and down buttons on the keyboard, your up and down left joystick, and your W and S keys on your keyboard will all move the character forward. Their local forward is what vector 3.forward is there. And then we're going to do the same thing for the horizontal. We'll show you how to set up those axes in a moment because they're not always there depending on your project and Unity version. So we're going to quickly flash by those in a bit. And then we're just going to grab our rigid body, which we've called body. We're going to add the force. So we've added our vertical and our horizontal together. We've multiplied them by the amount of thrust from the model. And then we've added that to the rigid body. And then we're going to drag that behavior onto the capsule. And let's see if it works. Let's just rearrange the window a little. Bigger game window. Better. Great. So if I click into the capsule, you can see on the right, it's now got a rigid body, and it's now got a main player controller added to it. The rigid body got added automatically. That's where that require component comes in. Now we're going to go through the input and look at these axes. There are two pairs of vertical and horizontal axes. One pair is for your keyboard. It's got your negative button left, positive button right, A and D, and so on. And a very small dead zone and a little bit of gravity. And then the vertical is very similarly set up. You can pause the video here to see all the details. And then there's another pair of them farther down. These, I believe, are in there by default. These are for the joysticks. You can see how your joystick vertical. So you get automatic controller support just by using the input axes instead of binding to specific keys. And the axes are really handy because the axis always returns a number between -1 and 1, 0 if neither button involved is pressed. There we go. Let's test it out, and oh, this isn't quite working. Why isn't it working? Told you we got that model for free out of the unit controller. Well, we do actually have to make that model, though. We do have to populate that. So let's make a new unit from the right-click menu. Let's call it main player. And let's give it some thrust. We'll do 10 thrust for now. Great. So it fills the right-hand column, which is the calculated values. Perfect. And then we're going to slide that in after reselecting our capsule. So now we've got a model. So now it works, right? Whee! Oh, that's not quite what we wanted, is it? Sorry for the low frame rate here. It is actually spinning quite hilariously. That's not quite what we want. So let's pop open the constraints. Default constraints is just closed by default, but let's just freeze all 3 rotation axes so the rigid body won't spin when we give it a force. We want it to just go. We want it to just move in directions. This does mean it gets a little more interesting when we need to spin that character. If you need to spin that character, I guess. But you can cross that bridge when you come to it. So there, now we can move around. But it's really fuzzy. Ooh, let's add some drag. And let's adjust the amount of thrust. And then accidentally delete the amount of drag we just added by hitting pause, because we did that with the play button going, so that's not going to do anything. Well, the thrust did something, and it went flying off we went careening off the edge of the world. Not quite what we were after. So let's try 40. 40's good. Feels really fast. Initially it feels good in the first half second, but then it's too fast. So let's set a speed limit, shall we? Or if we're going too fast, if the body's moving too quickly, we don't continue to apply force. Now this is a little silly. It's a bit naive, but this will work. It's reasonably efficient. So we're going to dive back into our model. We're going to pull up the calculated movement speed. And we're only going to do this add force and this force calculation if we've got movement speed we care about. Or if the rigid body is going slower than our movement speed. But now we need to dig back into our model. And let's pump the movement speed up to 5? Sure. There, right-hand column filled automatically. Now we just hit go. Now I've got a speed limit. Feels much better. I should have recorded this at a much higher frame rate. Alright, now let's put that drag back on that we accidentally deleted earlier. And it feels much better. Now it automatically slows itself down quite a bit, which is really helpful. Because if it didn't have any drag, once you got going up to speed, it would just slide forever in that direction because you'd lose your control once it surpassed the movement speed set in the model. So this way the drag brings you back under that threshold and lets you reapply force. As long as you're not going too fast. But there is an issue. We can now go, by holding down 2 keys, like W and A, we can go much faster in one direction, on the angles, than we can forward and backwards. You'll note that Quake and Doom and Quake 2 and stuff shipped with that. Whoops, looks like someone used the wrong normalize, because there's 2 of them. The capital normalize is a method group, but it doesn't return a vector, so it's not composable, so you can't actually use that. You have to use the lowercase normalized in order to actually get the normalized vector from, in this case, an anonymous vector that we're not saving anywhere. We're not giving it a name. And there we go. Now we can't move any faster on the angles than we can on the lines. Now let's play with our speed a bit. Maybe we can get something that handles a little more responsive. So let's pump that thrust back up to 100, which now with the limit in it is just better. Bye.